over time, if you are eating foods that are higher glycemic index or that your body is spiking to, what that means on the flip side is, again, your body's compensating for that somehow. So it is making more insulin. And a chronic high state of insulin, well, insulin is storing any extra sugar as fat, right? Insulin is a fat storing hormone. Higher than normal insulin levels chronically causes, like I said, inflammation, but also, and if we go into the diabetes talk, I think it's important to bring in the genetic conversation to this, but there's a large portion of people that are genetically predisposed to develop diabetes.
We are Gold Ivy.
Our mission is to empower you to own and unleash your truth.
Stories of resiliency are gold, and ivy grows in hard places.
Those hard places are what creates space for light to shine through.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production.
Keeping the flu and common cold out of your household is important whether you're 5, 35, or 95, and we're going to tell you the easiest and most delicious way to do just that. It's with All Things Elderberry, a woman-owned business that has all-natural, vegan-friendly, and gluten-free elderberry products.
And when we say products, we mean a variety of delicious and beautiful products, not just for you, but for your entire household to get an immunity boost. If we had to pick our favorite product, I'm going with organic elderberry gummies. My kids are obsessed. We're trying to avoid sickness from school and make sure they can participate in their sports, so they take one every morning before they brush their teeth. They think the gummies taste like a mix of grape and cotton candy. I tried them too, and I can see why they ask for them every day. I love that they're boosting their immune system at the start of their day.
My favorite All Things Elderberry product is the elderberry green tea paired with the elderberry honey. The green tea gives me a midday boost, and the honey gives the tea extra sweetness. I also put the honey in my morning coffee instead of creamer. So good. All Things Elderberry is my solution for staying healthy before traveling, avoiding frequent colds and sinus infections, really just maintaining my health all year round.
What sets this brand apart from the others is there are no artificial additives in All Things Elderberry. Their elixir is made with organic, Missouri-grown elderberries, raw honey, and whole spices.
Elderberries not only help with immune support, but may also slow the aging process with their powerful antioxidants, improve skin health, and can shorten the duration of severity of colds and flu.
Visit allthingselderberry.com to explore their full range of immune-supporting products. Stay healthy and feel your best naturally. Use our code GOLDIVY at checkout for 15% off your first order. That's code GOLDIVY at checkout for 15% off your first order.
We're coming at you with important information, warnings, and a solution. Sharing health and wellness gold with you is what we do. And so when we learned alarming information about devices that we routinely use, and we know you do too, we have to share it with you.
What most people don't realize is that the electronic devices we're using, cell phones, Wi-Fi, laptops, and Bluetooth, emit electromagnetic fields, or EMFs. The devices we're holding by our brains, on our skin, by our reproductive parts are emitting EMFs, and prolonged exposure to EMF radiation has been associated with potential health concerns, including neurological effects, impacts on reproductive health, and sleep disturbances.
Those studies alone are a cause for pause. But also, the International Agency for Research on Cancer that operates under the World Health Organization has classified non-ionizing EMFs produced by electronic products like cell phones, smart devices, and tablets a possible human carcinogen. Yikes.
And our solution? SafeSleeve. SafeSleeve anti-radiation products are designed to give you peace of mind of knowing you and your devices are protected while making your devices even easier to use. All of their anti-radiation products incorporate their lab-tested shielding technology that can block over 99% of RF and 92% of ELF radiation. And that's important because the vast majority of products that claim to block EMF radiation either don't have any testing at all, or they only block a small portion of the harmful frequencies.
We absolutely love the sleek look of these stylish products. They come in a variety of styles and colors. For our phone cases, I picked black, Andrea picked tan, and they include a built-in wallet, with RFID protection and a magnetically detachable inner case. They're also anti-radiation products for tablets, iPad, and laptops.
We are pumped because we have been looking for a brand to help protect ourselves and our loved ones from this radiation for months. My kiddos have the iPad cases. Searching for a brand with stylish phone cases, colorful iPad colors, and functional headphones for our workouts so that we can enjoy our devices but also not have to worry about how they're harming us.
And without a doubt, it's time to protect ourselves. Grab your Safe Sleep phone case today and any of their other groundbreaking products at safesleepcases.com and use our code GOLDIVY for 15% off.
And now to this episode of the Ivy Unleashed podcast. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Today is a huge day. We have Dr. Stephanie Redmond here. Welcome to Ivy Unleashed.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk with you ladies and your audience.
I mean, we could talk about so much. So Dr. Stephanie is a pharmacist and a certified diabetes educator.
Yes.
And we've had, 260 some episodes, and we haven't really talked about blood sugar, which is like a foundational thing we really need to talk about.
Yes.
And GLP-1’s are everywhere. Everyone's losing weight on these things.
In the water.
Oh my gosh, I know. And it's like, Brooke and I are like, oh, they think they're working out, or do you think it's just a GLP-1, And so we have lots of questions, and we're excited that you're here because you know all about this stuff. And you have products to help people too if they need it. So
Yes.
Let's just kind of dive into the basics of blood sugar regulation, whether you have diabetes or not. Like, why is this important for our health, and what do people need to know about it?
Yes, I think that's a very broad question to open with, because I think there's a lot to talk about with regard to the pathophysiology of why you get high blood sugars, and maybe we can dive a little bit into that. But I think more importantly, overarching, traditionally, when you think about blood sugar health, I think you're going, I don't have diabetes, or I don't have pre-diabetes. That doesn't need to be on my radar. I don't need to think about it. But I think at its core, when your blood sugar rises, or if you're getting a lot of sugar in your diet, that is impacting the levels of insulin in your body, which is something that you're not openly seeing, you're not openly measuring. Insulin, if it's too high chronically, can cause inflammation, and that is now impacting all of your organ systems, from your brain health. And I'm not just talking about the type 3 diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia. It's on a day-to-day basis, as simple as brain fog, right? Your ability to build muscle, your digestive tract, and your microbiome balance. So I think what is great, the good and bad about social media now is that we're so hyper aware of the impact that sugar can have on our body holistically.
And it can be confusing. We were just talking about this before we started recording. Like, what do you believe online?
I think, so to me, diet and exercise are even more confusing because it's so controversial and there's new things coming out every day. But blood sugar health doesn't need to be as confusing. And maybe I'll take this moment to right off the bat say, everybody is so different. Like, how do you know if your blood sugar is high? Like, let's just start there. Do I need to worry about my blood sugar being high? And your doctor, if you're going to the clinic, is checking what they call a hemoglobin A1C. This tells you what have your blood sugars been averaging over the last 3 months of your life. And that's because your little red blood cells, they live for 3 months or 90 days in your body. And the sugar in your bloodstream actually makes little indents on these red blood cells, and they can measure those indents. And so that tells us, okay, your blood sugar is averaging 100 over the last 90 days. But was it 70 most of the time, or was it 200 most of the time? Right? It doesn't give you an index of what that day-to-day variability can be. And even, Andrea, you'll appreciate this, but when you're pregnant, you go through that oral glucose tolerance test, right? And so you're drinking the Orange Crush drink, and they're checking your blood sugar 1 or 2 hours after you eat. And you can even do this at home too. But again, a very isolated period in your life. I'm a big advocate, and we can jump into this later, on continuous glucose monitors. I am not wearing it today, but I have Dexcom has an over-the-counter monitor. So like, you can, without diabetes, without pre-diabetes, and I think even some fitness centers sell these in addition to pharmacies, wear a continuous glucose monitor that tells you 24/7 real time what your blood sugar is.
Let's talk about that. How does that work?
So it basically is about the size of a quarter.
Okay.
You can stick it on your arm. You can stick it on your abdomen. And there's a catheter. The marketing materials call it a kitten-like whisker. So you can envision this catheter type thing is sticking into your subcutaneous tissue. And that literally measures the glucose values in that interstitial fluid space in between your cells. And then that has some big fancy algorithm that spits out to your phone a couple different values that are very important. One, what is your blood sugar right now? Okay, 75. Mm-hmm. What was your blood sugar and what direction is your blood sugar trending and how quickly? So there's an arrow up if it's going up, arrow down, or 2 arrows down if it's dropping really fast, and you should probably go get a little banana to eat something, right? Mm-hmm. So very interesting. And I think what I struggle with recommendations for diet and exercise is everybody responds differently to carbohydrates and even proteins and different combination of carbohydrates and proteins. And there's this great TED talk about this, but the scientists looked at people without diabetes who wore a continuous glucose monitor, and they would say, you ladies and myself, we would both eat a bowl of rice and a bowl of ice cream. And you would get a different response in your blood sugars than I would, purely based on the bacteria in our gut.
Oh.
And how it digests and metabolizes and absorbs the glucose. So how do I know how I respond to rice? Maybe I'm okay having some rice, but I shouldn't eat bread. And maybe you're the opposite. And so I'm a huge advocate for, at least temporarily, for a couple weeks, trying out a continuous glucose monitor. It really allows you to learn about your body. I'm like at the office eating trail mix, thinking, well, there's some nuts in here, like fat and protein. It's not going to be that bad. And that spiked my blood sugar way more than like a bag of chips. And I was like,
so
yes,
the purpose, okay, so you're going to see your numbers. So it's important because then you can be like, okay, this is why my mood is crashing. This is why my energy's low. This is why I have brain fog. But like, what are the long-term effects? Let's say you don't get diagnosed with diabetes, but like your blood sugar is dipping really low or up really high. Like, what's the risk? Like, why should people care?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point, because I think obviously there's immediate benefit, like you just called out, right? Symptomatic, how I'm feeling and optimizing your vitality on a day-to-day basis. But also over time, if you are eating foods that are higher glycemic index or that your body is spiking to, what that means on the flip side is, again, your body's compensating for that somehow. So it is making more insulin. And a chronic high state of insulin, well, insulin is storing any extra sugar as fat, right? Insulin is a fat storing hormone. Higher than normal insulin levels chronically causes, like I said, inflammation. But also, and if we go into the diabetes talk, I think it's important to bring in the genetic conversation to this. But there's a large portion of people that are genetically predisposed to develop diabetes. Genetics loaded the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger, and that is true of this disease state, whether it's type 1 or whether it's type 2. That's also still true. And that's why you see two people could live a horrible lifestyle, eat horribly, not move at all, and one doesn't get diabetes. Mm-hmm. And you're like, why is that? Because it starts with just genetic etiology. But essentially, if you have that genetic predisposition in your family, or maybe you don't even know, your pancreatic beta cell, the cell that makes insulin, can wear out over time. And then that is really what kicks off the cascade of metabolic dysfunction, development of prediabetes and diabetes. So I think long-term, I mentioned things like dementia. They're seeing an increased risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. But overall, your metabolic health, cardiac health, kidney health can be impacted.
Okay.
So there's long-term and short-term benefits. If you don't need any more reason, keep listening. 2 things come up for that. One,
and easier said than done.
Yes. Yeah, well, and that's what I want to get into. So you get this monitor. What are you looking for? How do you use it to your advantage? And then second, if you can't get the monitor, what are your recommendations that people start with?
Yeah. That's a great point. And I don't think I have a great answer to the second part of that question, honestly. But It's going to be different for if you're using this monitor and you don't have a clinical diagnosis of diabetes, right? Because your blood sugar swings are going to be a little bit boring, which is good. You don't want a lot of glycemic variability versus if you do have pre-diabetes or diabetes, you're going to see bigger swings. But I think the biggest thing you're looking for, hypoglycemia is more rare. You're more looking at your post-meal response. One of the biggest predictors of the development down the road of diabetes or inflammatory disorders or metabolic health is 1 hour after you eat a meal. If your blood sugar spiking over 155, 160, that can be a red flag that maybe your body either isn't releasing insulin fast enough, isn't releasing enough insulin to cover that glucose spike. And so it could be an early indicator that something's off. So I really think, the first sign of dysfunction we see are the quickly, what is my body doing right after I eat? And if you can't get a monitor, which most people aren't going to do because it is expensive, but I think there are things that are worth investing in your health. Obviously, fitness is one of them. And I think Oura Ring is another one that is so important too. But you can try it for 2 weeks. The alternative, if you're like, oh, I really want to know what my blood sugar is, you could do a finger poke and actually check your blood sugar. And those meters are $15 at any drugstore. However, again, you are driving a little bit blind. You're looking at like one single snapshot and you're like, well, I'm 100, but what was I? What am I going to be in 20 minutes? Like, it's actually astounding that when I was in the clinic several years ago, that's like all we were going off of to treat diabetes and adjust insulin doses. You're like, the development of continuous glucose monitors has been single-handedly like the biggest game changer.
Yeah,
in that space.
that's cool that exists.
Yes. Yep.
And something we have, you touched on type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about this either. And we really wanted to have an episode about blood sugar and diabetes. And so for people that don't know the difference between type 1 and type 2, can you talk about what that difference is?
I think the most understandable that people will go, oh, okay, type 1 is generally something they say you're born with, but really you think of a lean patient that's not obese. They get diagnosed at a younger age, even 3, 4, 5 years old, even in their teens. And what happens is this is essentially an autoimmune disorder. Your body is attacking your pancreas beta insulin producing cells. So you cannot make insulin and you have to go on insulin. And it's crazy because sometimes, again, there is a genetic predisposition to type 1 as well. And sometimes we don't really know why it's triggered. It could be a virus. It could be a really traumatic car accident and stressful event that then all of a sudden triggers this autoimmune cascade of pancreatic beta cell destruction. Mm-hmm. So the difficulty with type 1 is you have to be on insulin at this point. There's a lot of great technology and insulin pumps that can help with management. What we're seeing now too, though, is that there's almost like a type 1.5 where people with type 1 are also developing insulin resistance too. So type 2 diabetes, without making us sound like we're in college, but like I'm going to talk a little bit about this because it is interesting. Type 2 diabetes is where you're like, oh, this is lifestyle induced, right? You should be eating better, eat less sugar, move more. And that's true for a lot of patients, right? They could probably reverse their high blood sugars, reverse their type 2 diabetes with weight loss, diet, and exercise, and control it without medications. But there are still a fair amount of patients, like I said, that this has a genetic component. And so there's still, what is insulin resistance, right? I guess that's a great question. Mm-hmm. So when you and I eat food goes into our gut. Our gut makes GLP-1 hormone. That GLP-1 hormone is responsible for about 70 to 75% of the insulin your pancreas makes after you eat a meal. Mm-hmm. So that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. That's why GLP-1 hormone is so effective initially in diabetes, right? Because the GLP-1 made in your gut goes to your pancreas and says, there's food here, time to make more insulin. So insulin is released. Insulin, I call the doorman to the cell. So insulin goes to the cell, opens up the door of the cell and says, come on in, sugar. Whether that's your liver, whether that's your brain, whether that's your muscle cell, right? Muscle is like our energy currency of our body. So insulin resistance is essentially when insulin is knocking on the door and it's ineffectively opening the cell. So what happens is the sugar's stuck in your blood, and that's where you're starting to see a high blood sugar reading. But what your body does to compensate then is it makes more insulin. Oh, it's not working. I'm going to make more and more and more insulin. And that's where you get into the state of having chronically high insulin levels. What's amazing now is that a lot of medications, including GLP-1, through various mechanisms, ultimately lowering inflammation in the body can help reduce that insulin resistance, help your body respond to insulin.
Can I ask a question? Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing you say is when the GLP-1 is activated, the hormone's released, your body then produces insulin.
Yes.
But people who have type 2 diabetes or, too much insulin, how does that work? Does their body just stop producing insulin?
It's a mess. It's a mess. And none of it makes a lot of sense. But first and foremost, not only is their insulin not responding, so now they're making more insulin, but eventually their pancreas's ability to make insulin wears out. So it depends where you check in their journey of diabetes. If you're early on in the journey, you're going to see high insulin levels. If you've had high insulin levels for a while, that's where you start to see blood sugar creep up because your body can't compensate anymore. It's not making enough insulin. And then you see blood sugars creep up and your insulin levels drop because you just basically destroyed your beta cell.
So when we're taking these GLP-1 medications, what's actually happening in our bodies with this outside help?
And GLP-1s are actually the only medication that is scientifically proven to restore beta cell function.
Oh.
It can quite literally, over a couple years, normalize beta cell function and the ability of that cell to produce insulin. But something also important about GLP-1, we know this in diabetes, and now we're starting to study it in non-diabetic patients since everyone's using it for obesity and weight loss, and now microdosing it for inflammation, and we're learning more about that. Like I said, I have a lot of questions still, and I everyone is on these. Like, do I need to be on this? What? But we know for sure that someone with insulin resistance or with type 2 diabetes, not only are they resistant to insulin hormone, but they're also resistant to GLP-1 hormone. So that's where every generation of the new GLP-1 drugs is stronger and stronger because giving you a physiologic level of GLP-1 isn't enough to overcome that resistance. So now these drugs like Ozempic, Zepbound, Mounjaro, they are giving your body 6, 7, 8 times super therapeutic amounts of that GLP-1 hormone in very long-acting large doses to overcome the body's resistance and reverse that metabolic inefficiency.
What happens though when you stop taking it?
And half of the people stop taking it within a year.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the science and data, the statistics, not the science, the statistics show that people gain about 2/3 of the weight back within the first year of stopping taking it too. That's a huge problem if you have someone that has lost a considerable amount of muscle. And then as they regain the weight, it's all fat regain. So now the ratio of muscle to fat is considerably lower. And they're developing basically sarcopenic obesity. And now they're way less metabolically healthy than they were even prior to taking a GLP-1. So I think it may be one of the great conversation points around that is if you are on a GLP-1, really using that time period to rewire your lifestyle and retrain, all those circuits in your brain of how to live, because you're less hungry, you're less food crazed, less food noise, if that's something that you struggle with. So it's like, I really need to focus on a healthy lifestyle, which I think we all know, right? What that consists of.
Move with Gold Ivy.
Move with Gold Ivy.
But it's like the muscle loss that's such a scary part. It's like the longevity of your life, the quality of your life depends on your muscle mass, right?
Yes.
And then you're taking this thing, and there's no shame if anybody's on a GLP-1, like, live your life.
Yes.
Make your choices. I don't care.
Yep. We're worried about, though, when you stop, what's going to happen.
Yes. And I love what you said, kind of like rewiring your brain during this time that, okay, I'm going to go on this because I do want some relief, some help, some way to lose weight. Let's say you're not diabetic and you want to lose some weight. But then it's like, okay, in the midst of this, I have to be dedicated to building muscle because I'm going to lose it. And I don't want to take something forever. I'm probably not going to be on this forever, which I do want to talk about the risks of that
Which
too.
you're supposed to be.
On it forever?
They are indicated forever.
Okay.
That is the indication.
Why is that?
Because when you stop using them, the hunger and the weight comes back on. But that is, if I'm a physician here prescribing this to you, technically, I know that's not real life, but like technically these are indicated for long-term use.
Which makes sense because, how I'm viewing it is it's a quick fix. Mm-hmm. And so you stop the quick fix, you didn't solve the problem.
And I am interested and a little worried about what we're going to see over the next few years of all of the online pharmacies popping up. I love GLP-1. So I am saying this from, I want to be open-minded. I love seeking knowledge. I love the science, and I see both sides of it. I make supplements to help naturally boost your GLP-1, but I will never call this, I hate when companies say faux Ozempic or like this is a replacement. It is not a replacement for Ozempic, but I also don't think Ozempic is the devil or anything like that. Like I absolutely see a place for GLP-1s too, but all of these fly-by-night online clinics popping up, prescribing GLP-1s without adequate consultation and education for patients. It's like 2 years from now, are we going to have this huge influx of worsening metabolic health because people just had no idea?
Yeah. You hinted a little at the products that you created. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So I explained that GLP-1 medications are giving your body artificially high amounts of that GLP-1. There are certain polyphenols, antioxidants, even fiber is a great example of a nutrient and ingredient that can increase your GLP-1. The problem with fiber, and I'll kind of get to how I formulated my product. The problem with fiber is there's not a problem with fiber. The problem with if you're using fiber to think that you're boosting your GLP-1 levels is that GLP-1 rise is fleeting. Okay. When you take fiber, your GLP-1 is boosted probably double of what it normally would be. So that's great. You're getting a fullness feeling. You're satisfied. You're not hungry, but it doesn't last very long. And so that's why you should try to take fiber throughout the day. There is an ingredient I love. It's called areocitrin. This comes literally from a lemon peel. It's what makes the lemon peel yellow. But there's clinical studies on this ingredient that it increases your body's own production of GLP-1 gently, 20 to 25%. Okay, so you're getting a slight boost in your body's own GLP-1. I think this is great for anyone trying to follow a healthy lifestyle. They're exercising more. What happens naturally? You're hungry, and that's great. You should eat, but you don't want to eat junk food. GLP Wonder, I'll grab it. This has areocitrin in it, and I think that's awesome because what I call it is like my natural boost in willpower, right? It's not like going to replace Ozempic. It's not giving you synthetic hormone. It's increasing your own endogenous production of GLP-1 to help you just have a little bit less cravings, a little less hunger, a little less junk food. It not only it basically alters the microbiome of your stomach to influence and encourage GLP-1 production by your intestinal cells, but it also helps prevent the breakdown of your body's own natural GLP-1 too. And this is around the clock, not just postprandial, not just after fiber.
So this is booster.
Yes.
And you also have another product.
I do.
Wonder.
Yeah. This is actually GLP Wonder, and this is a GLP-1 booster.
Got it. Okay.
So 1 capsule a day helps, again, increase your own natural production of GLP-1, helps with your own weight loss journey that you're doing to encourage your lifestyle. But I do have GLP-1 Buddy.
Buddy, that's what I was thinking of.
Buddy, because it's a buddy. It's your friend when you're taking a GLP-1 medication for all the things we just talked about. Side effects, most concerning is the weight regain. Okay, if I'm supposed to stay on these medications long term, what are the main risks? Number one, a majority, I would say 60 to 70% of GLP-1 users do experience some sort of GI upset or stomach upset. Indigestion, burping, the sphincter at the bottom of your esophagus is soft, and so you're letting some acid back up. Indigestion, nausea. So there's digestive enzymes, there's ginger, there's peppermint, all sorts of things to really just soothe an upset stomach. With calorie restriction, you're also getting nutrient depletion. So there's fat-soluble vitamins in there, magnesium, and very importantly, creatine and collagen. Creatine to be paired with protein, but there's not protein in this. It's just creatine, 5 grams every day to really help encourage muscle synthesis and help you preserve lean muscle as much as you can while you're losing weight.
I feel like I need this.
Great.
Can people take it who don't want to lose weight?
They absolutely do, and I get that question all the time.
Sounds like a multivitamin, yeah.
I need to rename that.
Yeah.
And there's collagen too in it. I think it's so ironic, but one of the main Google search terms for GLP-1 side effects is Ozempic face.
Oh.
Have you guys been seeing this? And it really has to do with just the rapid weight loss.
Yes.
You can get sunken face and wrinkles because your skin elasticity
People look
is
a
also,
lot, they look a lot older.
Yes. So there's collagen in here to just help naturally retain moisture, boost skin elasticity, all the good things. So really all in one-stop shop. But I think I see, again, both sides of we want to support everyone's journey, whether a GLP-1 isn't indicated for me. I need some encouragement following my diet. I want some additional weight loss, my own gentle GLP-1 booster, versus if I decide I want to embark on a GLP-1 journey and I want to feel as good as I can on it, get the most I can out of my medication. What can I do to set myself up for success?
I love this conversation because I feel like you're answering all of the questions from someone that doesn't even need to take a GLP-1. They just want to learn more about blood sugar, but then also to the other end of the spectrum, I am on this journey and I'm taking it. And so, and it sounds like you're so open-minded to whatever journey people are on. And that's the message that we want to deliver too is it's not there's no shame in this. And this is not a weight loss pill. This is the solution to everything. Everything
Never
comes
is.
with a risk. Everything has side effects. Everything has a consequence, So it's throughout your life, whatever that journey is, having the support of these things. And I love that you're leaning into how does this chemistry work in your body?
Yes.
What are we actually trying to boost here? And I had no idea GLP-1 was in my body now.
Yeah.
Thought it was a hormone.
And it's made by your gut in your intestinal cells lining your intestine. Those cells make a hormone.
Mm-hmm. Who wants to know what I discovered that's an absolute game changer with my hormones, stress level, and quality of my sleep? I am not one to talk about supplements, but after learning all about magnesium, I have to fill you in. In May of last year, I tested my hormones and my doctor explained to me that most women are deficient in magnesium, how important magnesium is, and how the brand of magnesium matters. First, magnesium is involved in hundreds of biochemical reactions in your body. Cortisol regulation, take magnesium. Better sleep, magnesium. Muscle soreness and recovery, magnesium. Combat depression and anxiety, magnesium. The list of magnesium's benefits go well beyond those examples. I asked for the best brand of magnesium and my doctor said hands down, Smidge. She prefers Smidge because it's super clean and made in small batches. No fillers or common allergens and non-GMO. Smidge's magnesium is made with a premium form of magnesium called glycinate complex. After taking the 100 milligram capsule of Smidge Evening Magnesium every night for just a week, I noticed how much better I felt in the morning. Melatonin and other sleep aids can make me groggy or give me weird dreams. Smidge's magnesium has improved my energy levels, reduced my anxiety, and my digestive health has never been better. I do my best to take it every single night to keep reaping all the benefits. I'm telling you, Smidge Magnesium is a game changer. The majority of adult women are deficient in magnesium, and we don't want you to be one of them. To experience the health benefits of Smidge Evening Magnesium as soon as possible, go to getsmidge.com or find the link in the show notes and be sure to use code GOLDIV10 for a 10% discount. That's getsmidge.com and code GOLDIV10 at checkout, and let us know how great Smidge Magnesium makes you feel as well. Let's talk about something foundational to your family's health that you might not even realize is an issue: your cookware and bakeware.
That's right. We've all heard about clean eating, but what about clean cooking? For years, we've been told nonstick is the way to go for easy cleanup, but what if that convenience comes at a cost to your health?
Exactly. Our friends at Caraway have an origin story that really hit home for us. Their founder, Jordan Nathan, experienced what's called Teflon flu after accidentally overheating a traditional nonstick pan. It turns out it only takes 2.5 minutes for those pans to hit 500 degrees Fahrenheit and start releasing toxic chemicals.
And the problem is, these aren't just any chemicals. We're talking about PTFE, also known as Teflon, and microplastics that can leach directly into your food that you're preparing for your family.
These are forever chemicals, folks. They enter the body and can take decades to leave, potentially leading to serious health risks like cancer or respiratory issues. Reading the research from the American Cancer Society and Good Housekeeping Institute was a wake-up call to realize what might be hiding in our kitchens.
And that's where Caraway comes in. They're on a mission to craft well-designed home goods that truly raise the standards of what you cook with. They've meticulously thought through every single detail, from the unboxing experience to how their products store in your home. The look, the feel. We're in a season where less is more. It's better for your health. It's better to look at. You've seen Caraway everywhere, and it's for a reason.
I went with the squareware and cookware set. Not only is it beautiful, but the relief I feel knowing the daily pancakes, pasta, and protein I'm heating up isn't causing harm to my kiddos is priceless.
Caraway has revolutionized kitchenware by offering a non-stick ceramic coating that's mineral-based. That means no toxic materials leaching into your healthy ingredients. It's easy to use, easy to clean, and you don't have to worry about those forever chemicals.
So if you're ready to remove harmful microplastics and toxic chemicals from your family's meals and truly elevate your cooking experience, it's time to switch to Caraway.
Head over to their website today. You can find the link in our show notes. And for a special thank you to our listeners, use code GOLDIVY at checkout for 10% off your Caraway products. Make the switch for a healthier you and a healthier home.
Like, you think about estrogen, testosterone, all these things. And that's why, too, like when GLP-1's were hot, it's like, is this just a fad? I don't think so, because it's like insulin, testosterone, estrogen, all the things I said. I think it's here to stay.
Well, and it's important to know how it all works together and like why you take it in the first place besides the weight loss. Because people want the result.
Yes.
They'll sign up for anything for the result, right? Without even reading any of the fine print. They're like, if it's going to make me lose weight, I will do it, you know? And so I love that we're talking about to like talk about the risks. And I am worried about the long-term risks. You know, I'm worried about like, you know, it's like any vaccine that's new. It's like, okay, what's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen to all these people that are on this chronically? Like, do we even know?
Mm-hmm. And like, my personal opinion too, it's like the mental health piece of it and the pressure. Even my friends and family, like, I wonder, I'm like, how do you look like that? Like, what are you doing? You know, like, I want to do that. And then it's just the pressure on everyone to just be thin and look a certain way. It's like a resurgence of it. And it was interesting because I think even, you know, I love Target, right? The retailer Target, we're launching GLP Wonder with Target. Woohoo! October 5th. We're so excited that they are investing in Dr. Stephanie's as a brand. But, you know, they had collapsed the weight loss category, right? Hydroxycut, Ally, some of the stimulants that I think are ineffective and unsafe, and just, you know, to say, hey, you should love your body and like good body image. But I think what we're realizing is that we maybe let the pendulum swing too far the other way. And like, we do have to consider metabolic health, and you can love your body, but still be focused on being metabolically healthy for your longevity and your vitality.
Yeah.
I think it's the intention behind it.
Yeah.
Right. I talk to a lot of clients who are on these medications, and the people I see that have the most success during and after are the ones who view kind of the food noise quiets.
Yes.
And they're
what?
allowed the food noise of what am I going to eat? I can't have that. It's exhausting. It consumes them. And then they don't eat and they binge, and it's just like this very unhealthy relationship with food. So that noise gets quieted, and then they have the opportunity and the energy to think about, okay, let me exercise.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of the idea too of being put on an antidepressant of I feel like I'm at the bottom of this dog pile and some things are removed and I feel better, where I'm now in the headspace to think about, where am I strength training?
Yeah.
What's my relationship with food? Maybe I get therapy. It's kind of that breather. It bridges the gap, but it's not the end all be all. And it gives them just that freedom, that space to not be in survival mode.
Yes.
So going back, I think it's, are you doing this in a way where you love your body, you love your mind, and you're going to have a healthy relationship with it, instead of I'm taking this and ignorance is bliss.
It's I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah, because it's a conversation you need to have. And it's another point of, it is both the mind and the body. We cannot have one decision without affecting the other. And knowing you're trying to do this for this physical thing, but it is so mental. Like I love how you piece that together, and showing you coach people in real time that are going through this and the struggles or the gifts of it, because there's both.
Well, something I run into a lot is they're not hungry.
Yes.
Your hunger is suppressed. So can we talk about that? Why does it suppress your hunger? And what do you do to make sure you're still getting nutrients in?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we think about the mechanism of how GLP-1 works, I did explain one of them, right? It increases insulin production. So that's the main benefit in blood sugar control. But what it does is GLP-1 slows how food moves through the stomach. It delays gastric emptying. This is good. You're not getting as big of a spike in blood sugar, or as quick of a spike in blood sugar. But also that signals your brain you're full quicker and you're full longer. Just having that bolus of food in your stomach longer triggers that. Additionally, GLP-1 travels to and is actually made in a small amount in the brain too, but that triggers the prefrontal cortex to just signal it, along with like leptin and amylin and other hormones too, right? But that signals that you're hungry. Stop eating. So that's the risk.
Or you're full, stop eating.
You're full. Stop eating. Or you ate a little bit ago, you don't need to be hungry. Like reduces the cravings and that hunger signal. But some people are ramping up on the dosing way too quickly, and you're just you're killing their appetite. You're crushing their appetite completely, and that's not healthy either.
Yeah.
And that's where I think too, with like GLP-1 Buddy, I'm like, okay, here's a lot of the nutrients we're trying to replenish, but same with protein, right? I think if it's at the point that they have no appetite, to me as a clinician, that means their dose is too high. That's not what it's designed to do.
Yeah,
you
it sounds like it's affecting your hormones. So then what happens when you stop taking it? Are these hormones destroyed? Or then does it come back, or maybe even stronger because you've suppressed it for so long?
This is an interesting question that I don't think we fully understand. But I think there is some data. I think a good analogy for this is antibiotics. All right. Antibiotic resistance. So a lot of physicians are limiting how many antibiotics you use, because the more exposure to antibiotics, the bacteria develop resistance to it and don't respond. And there is some data, I don't know how robust it is, but that in general, any hormone, this is true of insulin. So I do know that. So let's talk about insulin. If you have a continuous exposure to insulin at high levels, that generates insulin resistance. Your body is so used to having such high levels of this hormone that it just loses responsiveness to that hormone over time. And so there's some thought and opinion leaders that say, I think GLP-1, if you're giving these really high doses of GLP-1 a lot over time, that you lose some sensitivity to it. And then now if you take it away and you're like, oh, here's my measly own endogenous production of GLP-1, you know, you're hungry with a resurgence, and that contributes to part of that considerable weight regain after you stop therapy.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknown, which I just want to advocate for that, right? The people listening, it sounds so appealing and you're in a not a great headspace and you just want that quick fix. And I just want to urge people to just take a pause. And if you're going to do it, be educated.
Right.
And like anything, don't jump into it without knowing. And being paired with a good clinician. To your point, I have a lot of people who their doctors won't prescribe it. So they go to these websites, and I don't want to name them, but it's like, this is your body and it was designed in a way. And yes, it might need a little help, but let's do this. And I've thought about this.
Yeah. There's so much meat on the bone with what you just said. And I think maybe I ended with something kind of scary. Cause like, I do think the GLP-1s, like 10 years ago, I was a speaker for Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, all of these companies, and I would travel around the US and encourage physicians to actually prescribe GLP-1. Now, this is for diabetes. It wasn't for obesity. But look at the alternative to that, right? These patients are on high amounts of insulin. And to me, it's like you can have high blood sugars, this is morbid, and die fast, or you can have high insulin levels and die a long, slow death and still have a lot of complications from having high insulin all the time. And we're like, hey, lose some weight, eat better, and move more, and go up on your insulin dose 20 units because your blood sugar is so high. So you go up on your insulin, and now you're storing more fat, and it's harder to move. And because of your high insulin, you're hungrier. It's like, that's absurd. So from a diabetic standpoint, these drugs were such a game changer. I saw so many patients lose 100 pounds, get off their insulin, get off their blood pressure medications. You know, those really sick patients that have a lot of comorbidities. It was a miracle. For the first time ever, they're like, wow, I'm less hungry. It was like we're encouraging their lifestyle, and it's just a snowball effect. So I think, wow, these are nothing short of a miracle for some people, but now it's extrapolating to everybody. And I think your point of you should have this prescription come from a provider that you have a therapeutic relationship with, that knows you, is so valid, you know. And I think from talking to so many different primary care providers around the US, the medical system is just so backwards, and like they don't have time to learn about these drugs. They don't let reps into the clinic, which I understand, but I also am like, where else are they getting their education? And they don't have resources to do the insurance prior authorizations to figure out coverage for their patients. And that's where you get this pop-ups of these little niche specialty clinics that are just like, oh, here, like I'll help you, but we're just shove it. And it's the same with estrogen and testosterone prescriptions, by the way, too. And like the resurgence of HRT and all of the media I'm seeing in my feed about perimenopause and menopause. It's like, wow, if I'm not on HRT or peptides, like I'm kind of lumping that now in with GLP-1. It's like, hey, come with us and we'll give you GLP-1 hormone replacement and peptides. And I like some of those and I might take some of those, but it's because I've spent a lot of time educating myself about them, because a lot of healthcare providers don't know.
Yeah.
And when everything's way more accessible,
yes,
it's easy to just
and it seems safe. Everyone's doing it, and it is safe, but not for everybody.
Like if everyone jumps off a bridge, will you jump off a bridge? I think as a parent, I'm going to use that all the time.
I just used that yesterday.
But it's the easy for some people. It's the easy choice, and life is really stressful.
Yeah.
And it's one less thing. And now the argument is, well, shouldn't I have that before I get to the point where I'm diabetic? Right? Like there's arguments for everything, and everyone has a different viewpoint on it. And we're not here to persuade you of one view versus the other. It's just a really great opportunity to educate you. And I think to put it in the terms that you did is so helpful. So thank you.
Great.
Yes. And thank you for creating something that we can get over the counter. So it's like, if you can't afford to get into the doctor, or they're not listening to you, or whatever, that you're creating something that's more natural, that now we know what GLP-1 even is and how it works, and to have you back to ask you all the questions that seem probably so basic to you, but we're just trying to understand.
I'm learning more about them every day. And that's what's so cool about my role too, and innovating. It's like, it's a moving target, you know, quite literally it's a moving target, and more research comes out every year and you have to be up to date on it. And we'll see. I mean, GLP-1s now are getting approved for NASH. So liver disease, fatty liver disease, basically. I think they're getting close to having a lot of robust studies on Alzheimer's and dementias with GLP-1 reversing that through inflammation. Not that I think it's going to be covered readily for those people. Yeah. You know, but we'll see. We'll see where the landscape goes.
Yeah.
We could have 17 episodes, and we will have Dr. Stephanie back. Comment below if you'd like her back, because I think we all will. But something I just want to wrap up with is your statement that you founded this company to deliver powerful, well-researched combinations of natural ingredients in dosages that truly make a difference with the guaranteed highest quality.
Yes.
That's powerful.
Thank you. I think at the end of the day, the entire foundation of my company stems from that. I would have patients bringing into the clinic vitamins, supplements, and they're like, there's 30 different, right? I told you this, there's 30 different ingredients in here. Isn't that great? And it's like, no, you're not getting enough of any one of those ingredients to make a clinically meaningful difference for you. And so I think natural vitamins, herb supplements absolutely can have powerful benefits. That's where a lot of our pharmaceutical drugs stem from, is natural sourced ingredients. But it has to be at the right doses. It has to be the right salt form. It has to be real and third-party tested, so you actually know what in the world you're getting, especially berberine.
Damn berberine.
Yeah. Check your berberine.
That's something Andrew and I talk about all the time with supplements. Is they're not, checked by the FDA. And how do you know what you're even taking? So the companies that we've partnered with, and now Dr. Stephanie, is like, we trust what you're putting in these ingredients, in these supplements. We trust the ingredients you're putting in these supplements.
Trust and verify. And just like a 30-second berberine story in closing. But my husband and I were shopping at a store, pulled berberine gummies off the shelf. You can't put berberine in a gummy at this point, maybe in the future, because it tastes horrible. I'm like, that's BS. So we sent it in for testing. It says there's 1,500 milligrams of berberine on the label, less than 2 milligrams. And that's on a store shelf.
You just lie.
There is no retailer that verifies this except for CVS. CVS is the only retailer that requires third party, and they have their own program. You send it into them. It's not they don't trust you. They're checking.
That's good.
Is the label accurate? What you say is in it? Is it contaminated with microbial pathogens, heavy metals, adulterated with things, so that will be a whole future conversation, but
yeah. What the hell's berberine?
Crazy. So berberine, have you guys seen berberine? I mean,
I've seen it everywhere, but
it's like it's an alkaloid that literally comes from these berries called barberries that are little red berries of a tree in mostly India, but not over here in the US. Berberine has a few really cool mechanisms. One, it can block carb absorption in your stomach. So it blocks a digestive enzyme called alpha-glucosidase, which means basically you don't break down the carb into sugar, so you don't absorb as much of the sugar. That's cool. Activates AMP kinase, so it can help with weight loss, not mediated through GLP-1, because I think a lot of companies say berberine is nature's Ozempic, and it can help with a little bit of weight loss, but it's not nature's Ozempic. It doesn't work through GLP-1. But yeah, and it can help activate leptin, which is another hormone that gives you satiety and a fullness feeling and reduces hunger.
God, I'm obsessed with your brain.
I know. We could ask you anything.
Okay, so your supplements, you said Target starting October 5th. Super exciting. Where else can people find you, your supplements?
Thank you. They're all on drstephanies.com, drstephanies.com. We're on Amazon. We're in Walmart, Walgreens, CVS. But really, if you're looking for GLP Wonder, our big launch is in Target, October 5th. It's in digestive care. So it's near the fibers, near general vitamins. Yeah.
That's amazing. And it just speaks to your brand that you are in CVS. Now I think CVS is like the Whole Foods of grocery stores, like
I know.
CVS is like, the fact that you're in CVS, it just shows that you have done you have integrity behind your brand and like people can trust you, which is like what we're always trying to find. So,
and GLP-1's in CVS. It's in its own, CVS is doing something cool. It's like, support for your GLP-1 journey. So they have our GLP-1, they have GLP-1 Buddy, but they also have rows of protein, fibers, multivitamins, just an assortment for people to choose from to maximize their journey.
Can you just talk about how badass that is?
Yeah.
Like
you
just like sit here and
they're innovative.
Reflect and be like, wow,
yeah.
I'm a badass.
Me?
Yes,
I
you.
thought you meant CVS. I go, yeah.
too, sure.
I literally go, yeah.
She's like, no, I like the GLP-1 section. That's badass. No, we mean you.
I'm
you
so
creating
impressed.
your own product line.
Thank
it's
you.
incredible. And you do this with your
appreciate
husband.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. His background is actually in hair care. And if he was on this, you could see he's like suave, nice hair. And I'm like trying for that. But the colostrum.
You do have great hair.
Coming. Thank you. But his background is from hair care. So he really had a broad understanding, him and his brother, of manufacturing processes and ingredient sourcing. And so it was the perfect marriage, so to speak, of my clinical background and real life experience teaching and learning about and using these ingredients in practice, and then his manufacturing.
Amazing.
And CPG.
So cool.
So.
Yay.
So we wrap up every show with the same 3 segments. The first one is your 3 gold stars. So 3 top takeaways based on our conversation. What comes to mind that you just want to leave the listeners with?
Ooh, I didn't prepare for this, so this is off the cuff. Okay.
I like
Number 1, I would strongly consider a continuous glucose monitor. You can Google Dexcom Stelo, and I think you will learn so much about yourself. You'll be in shock more than anyone else can teach you, because everyone is unique in their response. Number 2, I don't know. I would say if you're on a GLP-1, that's great. Just make sure you really understand the side effects and risks, and that you are working hard to preserve lean muscle. And if you decide to go off of it, you are doing everything you can to prioritize your metabolic health and not regaining that weight. And number 3, remember to try my GLP-1 supplement, because it's really indicated for everybody. It's like, I don't have I'd love to lose a few pounds or some fluff around my stomach, sure, because I'm entering my 40s. But I think it's just a really cool supplement that everyone can consider to help them maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Love it. All right. And we also wrap up with Unleashing Ivy. So this is just like more questions we're curious about.
Off the cuff.
Yeah.
Always off the cuff here.
Well, it's like you never really totally know where the episode's going to go. So it's like we never prepare for remember we used to always
One thing I feel like is interesting that's so hot right now is creatine.
And you have it in your product.
We do. We have it in the GLP-1 Buddy product. But even personally, I'm on a creatine journey. Do you ladies take it?
No, but I have my question.
Okay.
Dr. Stephanie, what supplements are you currently taking? What's your supplement stack?
My stack is actually not as probably robust as you would think. And I am a little bit of a fan of cycling supplements. Like I talked about earlier, that whole concept of hormone resistance. I also think sometimes your body can come resistant to supplements too, literally, like a medication. When I wake up, this is not the correct way to do it, but I take creatine first thing in the morning. I do Thorne brand. I love my Thorne brand unflavored creatine. I take 10 grams, so double what probably most people take, in water and drink it once a day. It is absorbed better if you take it with food, not on an empty stomach like me. It is absorbed better if you take it with electrolytes instead of just water. So I do that because I have a busy lifestyle, and if I don't do it that way, I'll just forget to take it. So I take that in the morning. Just really quick, I take that not only for overall energy and to optimize my workouts, but because I do notice more strength and power in my workouts. I'm able to lift a little bit heavier and just go a little bit harder in my cardio if I'm doing like a HIIT class or something. But I also take it for brain health benefits. And I think that is really amazing, all the studies coming out that 10% of your creatine stores in your body are in your brain, 90% are in your muscle. But as we get older as women, that is depleted quickly. And so replenishing that creatine can really burst through that brain fog and give you better cognitive functioning, memory, and focus. But after the creatine, I do glutathione. I like glutathione just as an antioxidant for liver and skin health. And then I take vitamin D and K drops again from Thorne. And then now my newest addition is my colostrum. So I take colostrum and my GLP-1 together later in the day.
Okay.
That's not aggressive.
Yeah, not very aggressive.
Okay. I like that though.
And I have in the past done more magnesium. I love magnesium, but I'm not doing magnesium at this one moment. But I will revisit that.
Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing people's routines.
Yeah, it was kind of vulnerable in your biz, but thank you.
Well, I sit there in my office and like drink all my hydration packets all day long too. So
okay, so we got electrolytes. I also like that you mentioned you lift.
Yes.
Right? You're walking the walk.
Yep.
I absolutely am probably addicted to fitness. And
are we talking like HIIT is your strength? You're lifting heavy.
I could do more lifting heavy. Okay. So I'm very much addicted to like yoga sculpt. I love heated classes. And I try to...
Y'all are nuts.
Yeah. Like the 98 degrees, sweating until I die.
I almost passed out this morning.
Lifting, mixing with cardio. Yeah. It's just like the best thing in the world. But otherwise I'm doing like my Peloton, or we have a gym in our basement. I'm very lucky to have that. And I'll do some heavier lifting with that. Otherwise I like lifetime like HIIT classes. I think it's everyone just has a different fitness journey. And I think it's just having a balance of everything you do.
I agree.
Right. Yeah. And it's so important to love it. But I do think like I'm plateauing a little bit in my yoga journey, and I need to, and I need to push myself to do things that maybe I don't love to do as much, but I think are going to push me metabolically to the next level.
Yeah.
It just shows wherever you're at in your journey, there's always more you
Yes.
could be doing, you feel like you should be doing. You know, there's never an end.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I always say that. And once I came to understand that, it was so freeing.
Yes.
Of like, there's no pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no pressure, but everything, I will shut up at some point.
Please don't.
Hormone replacement therapy. Like I'm just so into learning about perimenopause right now and the shifts in estrogen. And I'm in shock at the detrimental effects on bone health and muscle health and metabolic health and the redistribution of your fat when your estrogen drops or just fluctuates up and down. So I think, you know, I'm just cognizant of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to build up my bone with heavier lifting and a weighted vest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my question has to do with your lifestyle. You have two little girls that are 6 and 5, so cute. A marriage, you're trying to go on trips, you're running a business, now you're in Target, you're in CVS, you're in Walmart. I mean, your life has to feel like a whirlwind right now. And so I'm curious for you, like thinking as a mom, like your vision for your business and running this, like what are kind of some of the non-negotiables that you want to like have in your life to keep everything kind of fused together and in a healthy way?
The top two things immediately as you're talking that to me, number one, my own, like prioritizing myself and my self-care. I really struggled when I first became a mom. I love working out. I love exercise. I love fitness. And it's the most important thing for my mental health besides sleep. And I would feel so guilty working out for years after I had my kids as they were babies. I was like, I should be working. There's fires in the business. I should be with my kids. And it's like, no, I'm such a better mom when I have that. And that's not selfish. And I think really like I always struggle with mom guilt, and I still do, but I have really pushed myself. I was like, that is a non-negotiable. Like, and if it's not exercise, it's like, what is that non-negotiable for yourself and your mental health so that you are a foundation for your family and healthy? Number two, and this is something I'm continuing to work on, but well, I guess three things. Number two, my kids, you can't just balance it all. And like what I felt like, unfortunately, summer has bled away, and it's like, I'm kind of being a mom, but I'm kind of working too, and you're trying to do it all, but you can't do it all really well. And it's like balancing isn't doing everything. It's doing what's most important to you, and then really learning to delegate other things or eliminate other things that are just draining from you. And so sectioning my time better, that I'm like, this is when I work, I'm not with my kids, and this is when I'm with my kids, and I have to shut off work, because when you're personal, like you said, we're traveling, we're trying to do fun things. And that leads me into my third thing, is that you will appreciate this, owning a smaller business and growing business. There's a lot of growing pains, and there's a lot of things that happen regularly that you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to go to business, or like, this is like life threatening to the business. And you have to learn to deal with that stress. Otherwise you'll just be unhappy a lot of the time. And like, you just have to know that that's business as usual, and you'll get through these seasons of difficult moments. Mm-hmm. And I love the business so much. It fuels me, the innovation in it. But truly, like, these are the days. These are your golden days. And like, you have to enjoy your children. You have to enjoy your life, because you'll look back and be like, this was the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It is.
So I love those.
Yeah.
So good.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, last question now. If you could go back and tell younger, maybe not Doctor, just Stephanie, one thing, what age would you choose, and what would you tell her?
It's so weird you said that, because I was thinking about this last night. You know, like, I was on a walk with my kids, and I saw this younger couple on a Malibu boat, like jamming music on a Tuesday night with no cares in the world. And I was like, oh, to be that age again, like, that would be so fun. But I'm like, was it? Like, or am I happier now? You know, like, when really am I the most fulfilled? And I think the hard part of social media is I'm constantly scared that I'm like peaking. Like, this aging and perimenopause conversation online is crazy. Mm-hmm. And mix that with like a fertility journey. You're like, well, like, I'm getting old. Do I want to try to have another baby? And it's a lot to think about, but that didn't answer your question. But I truly feel like this year has been the best year of my life. And I'm 39. And yeah, I don't know. I think the older you get, your perception of what truly fulfills you changes. So
would you go back and say it keeps getting better?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this has been such a great conversation, and we're going to have so much more. And I hope that everybody listening to this felt that there's no judgment on where you're at, and that we do that for other people, right? Let people make their choices and know that we have good people in the world that are creating products that can help us in that journey to feel good and keep lifting weights. But thank you for being here.
Too.
And thank you for sharing your brain with us. I feel like we have so many questions we want to keep asking you, and we're so happy that we're connected and that our listeners have access to you. And so thank you so much for being here and for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you for bringing me in. And I'm really looking forward to a long-term relationship with you ladies, your listeners. And I just want to continue to share my pearls and what I learn as I go with you as well.
Oh, I love it. Okay, last but not least, we leave our listeners with a piece of gold. A quote can be your quote, your wisdom, or a quote maybe that you live by someone else. To wrap us up, what would you say?
Rome wasn't built in a day.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold. We want to thank you and encourage you to celebrate yourself for taking the time to learn and get inspired in your one beautiful life. And if this podcast means something to you, it would mean so much to us if you'd be willing to take 30 seconds to help support our mission to keep bringing you inspiring stories and guests.
First, following the podcast is important because it helps you never miss an episode. To do this, just go to the Ivy Unleashed podcast show page on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow.
While you're there, if you'd be so kind to give us a 5-star rating and review and share your favorite episode with a friend, we'd be so grateful for your support.
We are thrilled you're here and are so happy that you're taking time to prioritize your wellness, self-discovery, and growth with us. Additionally, we want to remind you that this podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We are not licensed therapists, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals.